The Edwards Syndrome Association is a 100% volunteer 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to advocacy, equal care, education, and rights of people with Edwards syndrome. The ESA strives to empower parents to advocate while working to help break barriers for those with Edwards syndrome. This podcast is for educational purposes only. For all medical advice, please speak with your medical providers. Thank you for joining us and for breaking barriers with us.
Welcome to the Breaking Barriers podcast, where we talk all things Edwards syndrome, special needs, therapy, disability, and everything in between.
Welcome to another episode of the Breaking Barriers podcast. I am your host, Gina, joined by my co-hosts, Crystal and Kelly. Today, we are joined by a courageous mom, Robin. Robin is sharing her story of her superhero son, Vinny. Vinny is an angel now, but he continues to break barriers. We look forward to our conversation with you, Robin. Thank you for being here.
Of course.
To start us out, could you tell us a little bit about your family?
Sure. So we are from Illinois. It's me, myself, Kevin, who is the father of Vinny, and then also Vinny's big brother, Logan, and Kevin is the father of both of them. Yeah, we're from Illinois, mid-northwest area of Illinois. So, yeah.
Perfect. Could you also tell us a little bit about when you found out that Vinny had Edwards syndrome?
Sure. So I believe I was about 18 weeks pregnant with him. I did the blood test prior just to find out the gender early. And they did a blood test, and the first one evidently didn't take, so they had to redo it again. So I had to wait like a long time period to get the results. I redid it again, and the results came back with possible trisomy 18. And it was only like 23.9% chance. So that's when I found out ultimately that there was a chance. And then we scheduled with the MFM doctor to do an ultrasound just to look for markers. And that was 20 weeks, I think, when we went. They found markers, and I did the amniocentesis, and that came back 99.9% chance that he had trisomy 18. So.
Okay. Could you tell us about the emotions that were going through your head during this, month-long period of, the blood test, the amnio?
Yeah, there was a lot. It was a roller coaster, that's for sure. We tried for almost 2 years to get pregnant with Vinny. I had a miscarriage before him. Logan was already, there was going to be a 10-year gap because Logan was about 10 years old. And it was very hard because we tried so hard to get pregnant with him. So he was very wanted, and the emotions were scared that I was going to lose him before I could meet him. That was the biggest thing. A lot of fear, happiness. So it was definitely a roller coaster of a lot of things going on, or emotions. So.
Yeah, it's certainly a tough period. I think everyone on this call can relate to, those emotions during that initial period. I feel like all of our stories are different in that regard, and kind of how we found out and the timing, but they kind of all have that same overlap with, being told the worst and having to, work through that emotionally. It's not easy.
Yeah, having doctors every visit tell you your baby's going to die and probably not make it is very difficult. It got to the point where, terminating the pregnancy on you. It got to the point where right when I went into my doctor visits, I was like, do not say anything to me about terminating my pregnancy because it's not happening. So.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah, that part is tough.
Yeah.
So could you tell us a little bit about Vinny's birth story and, what interventions were immediately needed?
Sure. So I went into the doctor just for my weekly checkup, and they would do an ultrasound of his or umbilical cord to see if the flow was normal. Of course, they would check him too, because the goal, like I said, ultimately was to meet him alive. So if there was any distress or anything, we were to intervene right away. Um, I went in. He was born at 34. I was 34 weeks, exactly 34 weeks. So it was like 33 weeks and 5 days or something like that. I went in. They saw abnormal flow in the umbilical cord, so they sent me to labor and delivery immediately. I was supposed to go to work that day. I was not planning on that, so it was very sudden. They sent me up there. They wanted to wait a couple days, so they wanted to wait till exactly 34 weeks, and they also wanted to they gave me some shots to help mature his lungs before delivery. So we were in the hospital for that, and then they monitored him, and at exactly 34 weeks they started inducing me. He was born, it was the easiest birth. I've only had one other kid before him, and Logan, like, I thought that kid was gonna kill me when I was delivering him. Vinny was so easy. I couldn't have asked for a better birth. He did amazing during labor. There was no distress during labor. He was perfect. It took 3 pushes. I had him normal. I didn't have a C-section. I refused. I told them I wanted to have him vaginally. If there was distress, then yeah, C-section.
Right.
Kid rocked it. He came out normal. Not normal, but he came out normally. Like I said, no issues. But right when he came out, they put him on me. I had him for like maybe 30 seconds on my chest, and then the whole NICU team who was in my room, I had like 50 people in my room, it felt like. They took him immediately and intubated him because he stopped breathing. He was turning purple. I did hear a little whimper when he came out, though, was kind of cool, but it was so quiet. I swear, so quiet in my room. If you dropped a pin, you could literally hear it. So they got him intubated. He was good. They took him to the NICU. I didn't get to see him for a few hours after. They rolled me down in the NICU and let me see him. When he was born, he was only 3 pounds, 3 ounces. So he was 16 and a half inches long, which I think is kind of long for a
That's
3
how
pound
long
baby.
Emma was.
Yeah.
He was
So
16.
yeah. So he was very tiny. He was intubated for the first 3 months of his life. So it was very traumatic. It was very traumatic afterwards. Going to, was it the baby in me rooms or whatever? Because I was in there with no baby, and I could hear babies crying like in the hallway and stuff. So that was difficult. But yeah, his birth story was, I couldn't ask for a better labor with him. Just the after part was very difficult. So
Right.
Yeah. I think that's a common trend with really low amount of pushes to get our kids out. And I think it's because they're mostly small.
Emma
Because
was 7. Her brother was 4.
okay. Wow.
Mia apparently dilated from a 5, or I dilated from a 5 to a 10 in the matter of like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I was like 15
And
minutes, 5 to 10 with Emma.
and of course it was that shift change, so like nobody was prepared or there. But yeah, the birth's definitely traumatic. It sounds like you definitely went through a whirlwind. And I have to ask, is Logan still by you?
No, he went outside to play
Okay.
soccer.
I was just gonna make a remark to him about how he needed to be easier on his mom, because it sounds like his birth was a lot harder than his brother's.
Yeah,
So let me know if
Logan's
he comes
birth
back, and
definitely was.
I'll give it to him then.
Yeah.
So I know that Vinny was at 2 different NICUs. He
Mhm.
was eventually transferred to a different hospital.
Yeah.
Can you tell us kind of what ultimately led to that decision?
Sure. So we made the decision to have him at the first hospital. Just because the hospital that was near us didn't have a high level NICU to support him. So we didn't want to go to the second one because it was further away. So we chose the first one, and that's where I delivered him at. Um, so with him being there after birth, he was intubated. Sorry, excuse me. He was intubated, and they kept trying to extubate him. to see if he could breathe on his own. And he did, he would do pretty good. And then he would start struggling because he wasn't strong enough fully. So, I'm sorry, I keep coughing. I have a really bad cough right now. I'm trying to think. So they intubated him and extubated him multiple times, and he kept failing. So eventually they decided that they were going to talk to a certain doctor at the first hospital to see if he would do a trach. And the doctor kept going back and forth. He was like, yeah, I'll do it. No, I don't want to. Yeah. And then finally he was like, no, you know what? I think he needs to go to a hospital with more specialists. So ultimately that's what decided it. Was we wanted a tracheostomy for him. So he was transferred at, I believe, 3 months old from the first hospital to the second hospital.
Okay, and so then the second hospital ultimately was successful with doing the trach. And can you tell us a little bit more about, how the transfer was and what his care was like after being transferred?
Sure. So when he was transferred, the transfer went pretty smoothly. He went trached, so that was a little scary that he was going to be transferring while he was, or not trached, I'm sorry, while he was intubated. They transferred him intubated, so that was scary. There was a lot of things that could have went wrong during that transfer just because of how fragile he was. So
the tube.
yeah, and it was it was like an hour drive to get to the second hospital from the first hospital. Just because we're in a bigger city and there was a lot of traffic in that city. So when they transferred him, they got him to the second hospital, they got him to his new room. The setup was very good. Everything went smoothly. And the doctors came in when we got to the hospital after, because they took him by ambulance. So when he got to the hospital, they got everything set up perfectly. Everything went smoothly. The doctors came and talked to us right away, let us know what their plans were going to be. So yeah, it went really good, that part.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, that's very important. So Vinny spent 2 days at home. Can you talk to us about, how special those 2 days were for your family?
Sure. So he came home. The doctor discharged him. He was doing amazing. He came home on a vent. He was trached. He had a G tube. Everything was great. I had all the medical stuff set up for him. I brought him. They let us take him home. The car ride was very scary for us because he was very mad at the car seat. He did not like the car seat. He did not like being held down. I had to sit in the back with him with his portable vents, and I had to manage his flow because I had to keep going down and up and down and up because he was getting mad. We got him home. He was happy to be home, happy to be laying down in his bed. The dogs got to meet him. The cat got to meet him. I had my sister. My sister actually was training. She was going to be training to be a nurse for him part-time because my sister's a nurse. Yeah, okay. Logan's sitting next to me now. You see, telling him about, you can tell him about Allie and Ruger.
No.
So my old dog Allie, who just passed away, and my other dog Ruger, who passed away a couple of years ago, actually a couple months after Vinny. Vinny was in his crib, and Allie is my older one, and she kept going up to the crib. And every time the other dog wanted to come by him, she was growling at him. So she was like protecting Vinny in his crib from the other dog getting close to him, which I thought was cute. Yeah. But anyway, side note. So, my sister came over. She brought my nieces and nephews. They got to see him. They got my niece in love with him, was holding him. It was very hard the first night because we didn't have nurses set up yet. So his dad and I had to basically play tag team on sleep and taking care of him because he needed 24/7 care. So it was fun. It was nice having him home, but it was also stressful because we were doing it completely on our own without any nurses. So
Yeah. What ultimately led to him having to go back to the hospital?
So the second day, it was really cold. I believe we had a bowler, or was it a solar vortex? It was like below 30 out that day, and it snowed. And Vinny's dad had to go salting and plowing, and he was gone all night. So I was awake with Vinny all night. He came home. He said, "Go to sleep for a little bit. I'll stay up with him, and then I'll wake you up and we'll switch." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So I went to bed. He let me sleep for like 5 hours, and he woke me up, and he's like, "I need sleep." I was like, "All right." So we swapped out, and then I had Vinny laying on the floor, and I was sitting with him on the floor, and he was just crying and crying. And I'm like, I don't know what's wrong. I did everything that they taught me to do at the hospital before we brought him home. Nothing was working. So finally I was like, well, maybe it's a streak. So I went and got Kevin. I woke him up. I'm like, there's something wrong. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I'm crying at this point because I'm overwhelmed, and he's crying, and it hurt it hurt my heart. I couldn't get him to stop. So we did a emergency trach change, hoping that maybe there was something wrong with the trach. That didn't help. And he kept crying and crying, and it was like a different cry. It was like he was in pain. So Kevin's like, call 911. I was like, okay. So I call them, they get there, and they walk in, and it's like they walked into, it was like deer in the headlights. Like they walk in his room, and they don't, in our small little town that we were in, they don't deal with kids on trachs. So they were like, oh my God, what do we do? So I had to go with him in the ambulance to our local hospital, and they didn't know what the hell they were doing either. So I went in pajamas and slippers. So it was below 30 out. It was horrible. And then, so we got to the hospital, our local hospital. They called Lurie's. Sorry, they called the second hospital.
That's okay. You can name drop hospitals that are good ones.
Okay.
We try to not name names if it's anything negative. So
all right, got it. So they called Lurie's and to see if they could come get him. So they came and they picked him up, and I went with him in that ambulance ride back to Lurie's, and they got him set up and everything, and they started running a bunch of tests, UTI or this, that, and the other. Well, it came back he had a UTI. So they treated it with antibiotics, I think for 7 days it is, or 5 or 7 days, something like that. And they were like, okay, he's good. And we're about to take him home again. Actually, I got ready that day, and they called me because we were supposed to bring him home. And they were like, we got to keep him longer. Something. And I was so upset. They wanted to keep him longer. And then they couldn't figure out what was wrong. And he kept crying and crying. It was so much pain. And then finally my mom was like, they kept doing x-rays and stuff. And they're like, we don't see anything. We don't see anything. And his stomach was distended too. And they're like, we don't know. Like, we can't figure it out. My mom's like, do an ultrasound. They did an ultrasound and found that his intestines, like kind of went into itself. It's called intussusception. I probably say that wrong. And yeah, and they were actually kind of shocked because they said that is not something that happens with kids his age. That's usually like older kids or adults. Actually, also because I changed his diaper. And before they found out what it was, I was changing his diaper one day, and it was filled with blood. And he just kept pooping out blood, tons and tons of blood. And then I think it was the next day they found out that that's what it was. So they had to take him for emergency surgery after that. And that was very scary too. So, yep.
That sounds really scary.
It was.
I can't imagine all the emotions you went through with, finally getting discharged from the NICU, being home for a couple days, just the scary parts of adjusting to, taking care of a child on your own outside of the hospital, going through those emotions, and then having to go right back to the hospital had to just be very overwhelming. And yeah, it's hard for sure. So Vinny did spend, much of his life in the hospital. So could you tell us a little bit about like what you did to, give Vinny various experiences despite the setting that he was in?
Sure. So they did a lot of different things with him. I mean, he had a PT and OT that would come and work with him in the hospital. We would watch movies. It was a lot of Disney movies. The main one that we would watch all the time is Finding Nemo with him. He loved music. What else would we do, Logan? Play with him. He had a lot of toys in the hospital. We would play with all his toys with him. Logan said he messed with his hair. I had this little baby. Vinny had peach fuzz on his head. This kid was basically bald. And Logan had a baby brush, and Logan would brush his hair, and Vinny would just
Aw.
like kind of side eye look at him, like, "What are you doing to me?" all
Messing
the
with his
time.
hair.
Yeah, Vinny was like the king of side eye. That's what I tell people all the time. He'd be doing it at his nurses too, and they'd be like, "What is he staring at me like that for?" I'm like, this boy just wanted his bed and wanted to be left alone. So anybody that was messing with him, he was like, "Get the away from me." So um yeah, he had a projector my mom bought. It had all the lights on the ceiling, and it also played music. He would love staring at that, and we would do a lot of like things that lit up with him. So I had a bouncer in his room. I would like to put him in that and bounce him, and we would hold him all as much as we could. Um, as Vinny got bigger, kids with Edwards syndrome tend to be small. He was born small, but once this kid hit like 10 pounds, he was gaining weight like
He was like,
crazy. He was 15 months old wearing size 5'6" in boys clothes. That's how big he was. So
that's big.
I have one of those. I have one of those big boys, so I get it.
yeah. Yeah. It got difficult picking him up. I'm not the
Mhm.
nurses, like I would pick him up. He's my kid. I'm gonna pick him up if he needs to be picked up for something. The nurses are like tiny nurses. I'm 5'9", so these nurses were short and small. And they're like, "How are you he was like 40 pounds. They're like, "How are you lifting him like that?" I'm like, "He's my kid. I'm gonna lift him." But the nurses struggled with him because of how big he was. They would have to
That's how
get
big Emma
people.
is at 7.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's a good size. It
yeah,
is.
definitely.
So I know that you changed your mind in during pregnancy related to kind of your wishes for Vinny. For example, you went from going from comfort care to full interventions. Can you tell us a little bit about what caused you to change your mind?
Sure. So in the beginning, like I said, we were pushed for terminating, and making that decision to not terminate was hard. Um, Basically, Kevin and I were like, we tried so hard to get pregnant with him. He's very wanted. I would like to at least meet him. So we decided comfort care was going to be best. And I did a lot of searching, I'm sure, as you guys did too, for advice, answers. What can I do? What did you do? All these questions. And I found, you guys. So talking with you guys helped a lot. Seeing what you guys do with your kiddos helped a lot. And I was like, if they can do it, I can do it. So um I also went to one of my doctor appointments, an MFM doctor, and I've never had a doctor appointment with her. It was kind of last minute, like, "Hey, you got to see this different doctor," and so okay. It was always like a one-on-one conversation after the appointment, and she's like, medical intervention and science has came a long way. She's like, there are things that can help him, and talking to her kind of helped me change my mind a lot too. I walked out of that office changing from comfort care to full intervention that day. And I did it without really talking to Kevin about it, his dad. So when he found out, he actually didn't find out until he went to a doctor appointment. A doctor appointment with me like the following week. And the doctor's like, "So full medical intervention now." And he looks at me like, "What?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, we're doing that." So, but yeah, that's what changed our mind on that. So,
Yeah, that's great that you had, that support and that there was a medical professional as well that kind of was backing it up. Because I feel like, I mean, many people know that that's rare to find. And so to have, a medical professional saying, there are things we can do for your child, just gives you that reassurance that you're making the right choice.
Right.
So with that, what advice can you give to parents that, are navigating similar tough decisions?
Um, Advice for parents that with any trisomy, because I know all of them are difficult. Go with your. I went with a lot of my gut feeling. Um, on my decisions for him. So go with your gut feeling and make the decisions that are best for your family. I've seen a lot of people like us, and we chose full medical intervention for our kids, but people that didn't, it's okay because that's what they chose and that's what's best for them. So, talking to people that aren't going to be so judgmental on what you're doing. So other people that I guess went through what you went through, is very helpful. So if you need to talk to someone, definitely reach out to people that went through the same thing you did for advice.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And could you tell us what your favorite quality of Vinny was?
Hmm. My favorite quality of Vinny, I guess I kind of already said it, was his "don't touch me" attitude. He couldn't speak and he couldn't talk, but you could tell by his facial expressions, um, what he was feeling in the moment. Um, I guess one of the things I love best, I would laugh at him when he cried, just because his face would. It sounds bad, like not when he was crying when he was in pain, but like if he was just crying just to cry, like I would laugh at him because his face was so cute. Plus, you couldn't hear it, so it like made it even funnier. um, yeah. So I don't know, just his qualities were. I love that, like, he basically knew nothing bad in this world at all. He knew no sin whatsoever before
Mhm.
his whole life. He knew nothing bad. So I guess that would be a good quality. You don't come across people that don't know what sin is. So
Yeah, I always say that too. It's like our kids literally, like when the incompatible with life gets thrown around, it's like we're really the ones that are incompatible with life, like we're the ones that like all they experience is happiness and we're having to deal with so much trauma and so much sadness and horrible things in this world, but they're just living their life like not dealing with all that. So,
yeah, they're just very innocent.
yes.
Mhm.
So I like to tell people when Vinny passed, he had a golden ticket straight to heaven. So
Yeah,
Amen to
that
that.
did.
yeah.
He sure did.
Hmm.
In what ways do you continue to honor his life?
Well, I make a lot of TikToks. I'm sure you guys have probably seen them.
Mhm.
It helps with my healing, but I have also had people reach out to me on TikTok and like, hey, can you give me advice? I'm like, I just got the test done and it came back this percent. What did you do? Blah blah blah. I had a girl reach out to me recently from the UK asking me
Mhm.
questions because she saw my video and I was like, holy cow, that's awesome. Vinny's
Mm.
been in a few books through Born Able, which has been awesome. What else do we do? I do balloon release. His birthday just passed in April. He would have been 3. Um, we did a balloon release and a cake. Actually, I showed Deanna before you guys got on. I have his urn right here. So Vinny's right here. He's sitting right in front of
Oh,
me. Um, so we have that sitting out. I talk about him a lot, so that keeps him alive. Um, Talking about, just anything with him. I also have pictures everywhere and stuff, like his stuff. So I still have all his blankets, all of his clothes, and
yeah.
all his stuffed animals. And I'm slowly gotten rid of a few things, but I'm still attached to a lot of it. So, but
Yeah.
yeah.
reminded, did you get a tattoo or am I thinking of somebody
Oh,
else?
I did.
Okay, I thought you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super
I
cute.
forgot about that. Thanks for bringing that up. His dad and I actually got matching tattoos. It says one day at a time on it, and I have his feet print. Kevin does not like needles, so I went and added defeat after the first part, like the quote was put on, and he does not want to do it, scared of needles. So yeah.
But he got the first part done, so he could
Yeah.
totally do it.
Yeah.
Right.
But no,
So
that's great. It sounds
yeah.
like you try to, honor his memory in all the different ways, which, like you said, helps your grief and, you
Mhm.
know, keeps his memory alive, which is really important.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So I don't have any other questions. Is there anything else you want to, talk about or touch on?
Um, I don't know. I guess just like the after part. I guess one thing I was thinking that a lot of people don't talk about is after like someone, especially a child, after they pass away, just like how hard, like health wise. Um, After he passed, I went through a lot of stress and like depression, obviously. Um, I did like therapy and counseling and stuff, but I also went through so much stress. My body went through so much stress that I ended up getting eczema really bad. So I actually been dealing with that on and off for like ever since he passed away. So it's been 2 years, I think. That's crazy. It's been gone 2 years. And just like the health part after someone passes away is very difficult to deal with.
And what
Um
I was
but-
telling Gina earlier was, when somebody passes, yeah, it's hard during it, but what's the hard part is after everybody has moved on and you're in it by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, life continues and it's really hard to continue life without, I switched my whole entire life to care for this boy and I learned all this stuff to take care of him. And then he passed away and I'm like, okay, cool. What do I do now?
Now,
So yeah, I got just my body went through so much stress during like all of everything that was going on and happened. And then after, like I lost my job. I got evicted from my house. I lost my car. There was just a lot of things that happened after he passed away because of the stress that like my body couldn't handle. And now I have eczema all over my hands and my legs. And it's horrible. I went to the extent of having injections for it and it still don't help. So I'm still dealing with the after effects 2 years later of losing him with health. So that's been fun.
Yeah, no, I'm
I
glad that
thought,
you brought that up because that is
yeah,
definitely an important topic that,
yeah, definitely.
I feel like it's something that a lot of people just don't talk about.
Yeah.
They feel that, you mourn and that, you're just expected to go back to regular life.
Yeah,
And
you
definitely.
can't.
it's like you just lost
Hard.
your child's. Like there's nothing worse than losing your child. Like how, like
Right.
when something like that happens and you're just like, how is the world still turning? And you're expected
Mhm,
to just figure it out. And your body, it takes the toll. So I'm glad you
mhm,
brought that up. Do you mind sharing a
mhm.
little bit about kind of, have you found ways to, manage some of that? I know that you said you're trying to get some medical help with injections and stuff for the eczema, but like in terms of like your mental health and stuff like that, like do you have any advice or anything for other parents going through that?
Yeah. So it was really hard for me to come to terms with going to someone and talk to them about something that they have no idea what I'm talking about. Since trisomy 18 so rare that I don't know how many people I've came across and they're like, oh, well, what did he have? And I'm like, oh, trisomy 18. And I'm like, what is that? And now I got to go through this whole spiel on what trisomy 18 is because nobody knows what it is. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so it was really hard to come to terms with that. After I lost everything, after he passed away, I had to move in with my sister. And she forced me. She's like, you need to go talk to someone. So if you got family that's gonna be forceful and make you go do things that you don't want to do, you need to listen to them and basically go do what they're telling you to do because they're doing it out of love. You know, they wouldn't be telling you to go talk to someone if they didn't care about you. Um, So I guess just make sure you seek some help, get some therapy going. I even took Logan. Logan was in therapy for a while too. It was really hard. It's hard for him still to talk about his brother. When he goes to school, he tells me sometimes, like, we moved. So after Vinny died, we moved to Wisconsin, 3.5 hours away from Illinois. We wanted to start over, have a fresh start. I have my own house now. I have a good job. We're doing well now. It took a lot of rebuilding after he passed away. But Logan, he'll go to school and kids will be like, "Oh, you're a new kid. Do you have siblings?" And he's like, he just walks away from them. He doesn't even know he doesn't like to tell people. So, but yeah, I guess that would be it.
I'm sure that's hard for him.
Yeah.
It is. He told me the other day too. He's like, "I want a brother or a sister," and I'm like, "Well, you have one, but he can't talk to you." We make morbid jokes in our house about Vinny because Vinny is in an urn sitting on a shelf in our living room. So I'm like, "Man, Vinny, you're so quiet," like just stuff like that. And it's just Logan and I laugh about it. Not everybody
Actually,
thinks that
I
stuff's
did that
funny.
after my dad. After my
Yeah.
dad passed away.
Yeah, or like
With me and my
Logan,
son.
I'm like, go clean your room, and I'm like, your brother's room is so neat and clean all the time. I never have to yell at him. So it's just stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean,
But
whatever your family wants to,
Mhm.
how it's your journey. And I mean, I feel like there's no
Right.
right or wrong answer.
right,
So if anyone that's listening to this judging that's on them. I mean,
right,
it's your life, and
It's
I
a
mean,
coping
I have,
mechanism.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
I would be
And
the
Definitely.
I feel
same
like
way.
yeah, I feel like all of us on this right now are pretty sarcastic. So like,
yeah,
we understand where it's coming
yeah.
from.
Sometimes I am too much to Kevin, and he'll be like, "You just need to go away." So, I got a picture of Vinny though. I was gonna show. It's me and
Aw,
him.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
Oh,
adorable. I
sweet
love
boy.
that.
miss little
yeah.
buddy.
Yeah, he had his
Big
daddy's
buddy.
blue. He had his daddy's blue eyes. Logan's got my brown eyes. So
He's so
Oh,
adorable. You'll have
thank
to
you.
send us some pictures too, because we'll use them for like reels and stuff before we put this together and kind of get it
Yeah.
out there. So we can share some of your favorite
Okay,
photos.
definitely. I have thousands. So
I know how that goes,
Me
yeah,
too.
but
I,
yep.
yeah, yeah. That's one other hard thing is like I like making TikToks and stuff. And I feel like at this point I'm reusing the same pictures and videos over and over and over. So like that's been hard coping with lately because I don't have new
Mhm.
stuff and I never will.
Right.
So
yeah.
that's been hard. So
We're really glad that you were able to do this with us and,
of
talk about
course.
Vinny. I mean, you definitely honor his life very well. We can tell, and I mean, even before obviously this podcast, but just knowing you and following your journey with
Mhm.
him, it's evident how much you have loved Vinny since the very beginning. And it's very evident how loved he is and always will be. And we're very grateful that you were able to share that with us and all of our listeners.
Of course.